whisper quietly, it helps her sleep. It seems it's the quilt my mama gave to me the day I turned 16.
Okay, we're back. We're going to put on the last border now, as I told you earlier. It's going to be the light blue like this one. It's a 3-inch border that we're putting on all 4 sides. So I'm going to readjust the camera and show you what I'm doing. Sorry about that, my hand showing there. I have 2 strips that I've pressed and put together. So there's 2 strips. And the top and the bottom is going to be 27 inches. So I've got my salvages here. I've got it hanging off the edge. I'm going to cut right along this line to give it a straight cut. And then I've got the 2 strips right here in the corner, and I've got it running right along this line straight down, and we're going to cut it at the 27 inch. So let me just turn that around just a bit. So I'm right here at the 27 inch. That's what we need for the top and bottom. So I'm going to cut it there. So this is extra, we don't need it. So I'll just lay it to the side. And these 2 will become the top and the bottom. I'm gonna cut the other 2 exactly the same, but they're gonna be for the side pieces. And I believe that is 37 3/4, but I'll recheck that. Okay, we're gonna do the last border now. These are 3-inch borders. I've got the first 2 cut and set up here. So it's, when it gets sewn in, it'll only be 2.5, but right now it's a 3-inch border. So we're going to sew the top and the bottom. We're going to go ahead and sew those, then I'll come back and show you how I have to cut for the sides, because we have to add in the amount for both of these as well. And I'll have to show you how we're going to have to float on my mat, because my mat's not long enough. So we'll be back after they're sewn. Okay, I've finished the top and the bottom borders. I've measured the sides, and the side is 43 inches and 3/4. So 43 3/4 inches. So that's what I need to make my side borders. Unfortunately, my fabric is not that long. It is actually 42 inches. So I'm going to take the pieces that we cut off of the last one. I'm going to attach it to one to each of the 2 side pieces, and then I'm going to remeasure and recut so that we can get our next borders. It's okay if you have to add on to it, just part of the beast. So we'll be right back when I get those done, and we'll cut the edges. Thank you. I'm going to show you what I did now. I sewed the small piece onto the longer piece, 1/4 inch. I pressed one to the short piece, and I pressed the other to the long piece. So they're just the opposite, as you can tell. One goes this way, one goes this way. The reason I did that is so that we can put them in different places and have less stress on one area. So this is the short piece here. This side, I'm going to put the long piece. I'm going to drop it down just a little bit because I left the salvage on here. I want to cut that off. So let's go ahead and cut that off. So we can just get rid of the salvage. And I'm going to start this right at the edge. It's actually going to fall off the end, which is fine. And just stack these together. That way I can cut them both at the same time. Okay, here comes the tricky part. Now I'm going to do something that's called floating the cut. And the reason for that is my mat here is only 36 inches long. I have an extra ½ inch here outside of my grid. So I'm going to say this is 36 and a half. And I have to make my cut 43 3/4. So I'm going to add 7 1/4 inches to that, to this, so that it comes out 43 1/4. I can explain it more in class if we need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this grid here because I've got enough space. So I'm going to put this up next to the mat, and I'm going to add my 7 1/4 right here. And this is how I'm going to do that. So this line is parallel with that line. So I'm going to hold this here. And I'm going to run this down 7 1/4. I'm going to make it even with my line. So 7 1/4. So now I've got where I want it to go. As long as I hold that there, we're good. So I don't let that move. I'm going to pull this back down so that it's parallel to that line. Hold it in place. And I'm actually going to cut it where the 36 is. And it's down here, so let me turn my camera a tad. So see, I didn't need much because there's where my line is, where I had the two put together. And I'm going to cut it right here at the 36. And that's going to give me exactly what I need for the two sides. And this is extra. So now I'm going to take these two pieces and go sew them. And see, when I put them up next to each other, here's where one seam is, here's where the other seam is, so if there was going to be a weak point, they wouldn't be together. So let me go sew these on, and then we'll carry on with some exciting stuff next, because now we actually have everything sewn for the top. So we'll be right back. Okay, wanted you to see the completed top. So I got all the borders on. This is the first one and the second one. I'm going to zoom in and show you the corners that I was talking about. Remember, we put the first border on, and the last one I put on was the top right here. You notice the seam goes right here. If I had done it the same way as I put this border on, doing this border, the seam would have continued out this way, which would have made it a weak corner. So what we did, this one ended here, we put on this first and the side last, so therefore the seam is up this way. So it's getting them separated, so therefore there's no longer a weak area. Same way when I had to add the pieces together, here's one of the additions right here. If I had done the same thing and done it over here, it would have made it weak on both sides. As the way it is now, it's strong because it's got opposite sides done differently. And of course the other one was right down here, and we only needed this much on that one. So this is the finished one. So we're all done with this. It's time to start quilting. So that's when the excitement comes.
And whisper quietly, it helps her sleep. It seems it's the quilt my mama gave to me the day I turned 16